This fitted with the Confucian rule of Li Di, with the character Li meaning to raise one to the position of, and Di meaning the offspring of the main line. With this adoption, Ying Yiren became Di Zhangzi, or the eldest son of the wife, thus giving him conventional status to be the heir. On the other hand, Huayang Furen's future after An Guojun's death was secured, with her adopted son becoming the crown prince, and then the king of Qin, therefore making her the Empress Dowager in the future. It was difficult for Huayang Furen to refuse such a proposal, and agreed to have Ying Yiren as her adopted son. Thus, Lü Buwei completed one of the most significant trades in Chinese history by matching this, from on one side, Ying Yiren to be the Qin prince, with no esteem to the position of the adopted son of the main consort of Qin crown prince Huayang Furen, who possessed the highest esteem, but with no prince for a son. As such, Ying Yiren became the heir to the crown prince of Qin. He continued to stay in Zhao, and on one fine day, Ying Yiren celebrated his newly acquired status by going to Lü Buwei's home for a banquet. After a few drinks, there was a dancing performance by one of the concubines of Lü Buwei, and her name was Zhao Ji. Zhao Ji was recorded in the history books as one of those women whom men could never forget once they laid eyes on her. Being a bit tipsy, Ying Yiren got up the courage to ask Lü Buwei if he could take Zhao Ji for himself. Lü Buwei was furious. Some historians believe that he was faking the anger, but eventually succumbed to Ying Yiren's request. According to the first emperor's biography in Sima Qian's the records of the grand historian, Qin Shi Huang was conceived by Ying Yiren soon after he took Zhao Ji as concubine. However, in Lü Buwei's biography within the same book, Sima Qian wrote that Zhao Ji was already pregnant with Lü Buwei's child, but the pregnancy was longer than usual, and she later gave birth to Qin Shi Huang. This was said to be Lü Buwei's plan all along, to have his child becoming the Qin king and later to rule all of China. Since the Histories by Sima Qian is one of the most prominent historical texts for the ancient period, and there were two versions of the story, one will have to wait till we open up Qin Shi Huang's tomb and perform a DNA test to confirm his paternal identity. It was at this time the Qin king sent forces to surround Handan after Qin's success at the Battle of Changping, and the Zhao people wanted to kill Ying Yiren for revenge. Lü Buwei bribed the guards who were watching Ying Yiren and his young family, and the two men managed to escape back to Qin. Zhao Ji and young Qin Shi Huang, now his name at the time was Zhao Zheng, were left behind and had to hide out for fear of being murdered by the Zhao people out of fury. Upon arrival to Qin, Ying Yiren changed his name to Ying Zichu, meaning he was the son of the state of Chu, where Huayang Furen was originated. Huayang Furen was very pleased with her newly acquired adopted son, especially Ying Yiren wore traditional Chu outfit to meet her. Zhao Ji and her son would have to spend another few nerve-wracking years in Zhao before being escorted back to Qin. The old Qin king, Qin Zhao Xiang Wang, were to die, and An Guojun would become the new Qin king. Advanced in years himself, An Guojun would die a few months after ascending to the throne. Ying Zichu, formerly Ying Yiren, would assume the Qin throne and would be known in history as Qin Zhuang Xiang Wang. Keeping his promise, he made Huayang Furen the Empress Dowager. He was not going to leave her low-status birth mother behind and named her an Empress Dowager as well. Truly, his household was now great, and he fulfilled the bond of making Lü Buwei's household great also by appointing Lü Buwei as the prime minister of Qin. Zhao Ji became Qin's empress, and Zhao Zhang changed his last name back to Ying and was named the crown prince. Qin Shi Huang's unification of his court. Qin Zhuangxiang Wang, Ying Yiren, spent only 3 years on the throne before he died. Ying Zhang, later more popularly known as Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor, ascended to the throne as the king of Qin when he was only 12. His mother, Zhao Ji, became Empress Dowager, and Lu Buwei became the Grand Prime Minister, administering the state's affairs as Qin Shi Huang was still too young. Much has been written about how Qin Shi Huang united China with the military might of the Qin army. The focus of our series is on the court affairs of Imperial China, and as such we would explore how Qin Shi Huang unified the external influences of his Qin court here. Like pre-World War I Europe, China, prior to Qin's unification, also had the tradition of marriage alliances between vassal states for the sake of gaining a diplomatic advantage. The Qin court was no exception, and the influence from other vassal states was rampant, as evidenced by how Chu influence, embodied in Huayang Furen, could decide on who would become the future king of Qin. Qin Shi Huang's purpose was to unite all of China when he entered adulthood, and to do so required a great military force which Qin possessed. However, if the Qin court was to continue be influenced by powerful foreign individuals who entered into the scene via marriage, the policy of aggression would be difficult to implement. The term for the mother of the emperor and her family in Chinese history is Wai Qi, which means outer relatives. This force would continue to influence Imperial China like it did in Qin court, and we would continue to illustrate how its power could affect a smooth inheritance process.